Hi, I'm Clara Rose, and this is Influence Matters, the show where each week I share tips, tricks, tools, resources, hacks, whatever you want to call them, to help savvy influencers just like you to strategically and intentionally build and cultivate their influence. Because we know that that's how we organically generate those leads for our business, ministry, cause, or brand. That is why we're here today for another episode of Influence Matters. Okay, of course, before we get started, I have to thank my sponsors. So thank you to Rosedale Publishing for helping us to make the show possible. They specialize in books for professionals and entrepreneurs, business books specifically. So hop on over and have a look at them if you're interested in getting a book written or having a book published. They'd love to help you. Thank you, Rosedale. And of course, I would be remiss if I didn't thank the fine folks over at Tampa Bay Multimedia and WeBeam TV, where we are today, for they truly make my show possible. So thank you so much. Okay, we've been having a lot of guests lately, but today we are back to having a question from viewers just like you. So let's look at the question of the week, shall we? So Anonymous says, it's that time again, goal setting for the new year. Do you have any best practices for this daunting process? Signed Anonymous. Well, Anonymous, yes. Don't know why you want it to be anonymous, but yes. Absolutely. I have some best practices for you to consider when you're looking at setting goals for the new year. It truly doesn't need to be daunting, but I understand that for some people it can feel overwhelming. So let's walk through some things that are going to help you today. Okay, first of all, goal setting. It's just about your intention. They're just your intentions. Goals are something that you intend to do in the future that you'd like to accomplish. And goals change over time, and that's okay. So if you're more comfortable, you can actually call them intentions instead of calling them goals. It has a softer approach or a softer feeling. For some people, the word goals can feel confining, like I set this goal, and if I don't do it, the world's going to come crashing down. Or if you say, I intend to do something, it's a softer approach. And if something happens and things change, which sometimes they do, it's okay. Actually, the co-author of my book, 8 Ways to Mind Your Own Business, is the person that taught me that. So in the process of writing that book with her, she kept saying, well, it's my intention. This is my intention. And she's very good at staying on top of her intentions. And I'm always saying, well, this is my goal. We just approach it differently. But I'm learning the value of saying, I intend to be at that meeting. That's my intention, to be at that meeting. So that if instead of saying, absolutely, I'm going to be at that meeting, unless there's a reason that I need to commit for sure, I intend to be at that meeting. Then if something happens, I feel less guilty or sideswiped by the fact that I wasn't able to make that meeting, that group meeting. That's just a peace of mind or mindset trick that she taught me I wanted to share with you. Okay, let's get started on the topic of the day before we run out of time. So what we're going to talk about today is how to set savvy goals for the new year. So savvy being the strategic, actionable, values-based, visionary, you-focused goals. That's what we're talking about today. So first we're going to talk about evaluating where you are at now. Right now in your business, and then visualizing what you want in the future, the next 6 months, year, whatever you're working on your goals for, and then capturing that vision. That's really what it boils down to. Okay, deep breath, get a piece of paper and a pencil, whatever you like to record with, and let's get started on this process. It's not as scary as it sounds. Let's start with the idea behind what a vision and a mission is, because it always trips people up, and it's questions that I get constantly. So I just broke these down for you quickly. Vision of the future, not where you are today, but your vision of the future of your business, ministry, cause, or brand. Remembering, of course, that visions change over time. Pro tip for you, you don't need to chisel them in stone. Your vision statement is just where you intend for your business to end up, the vision that you have for the future of your business. And then secondly, let's talk about what a mission is. So a mission is not a vague idea, but it's a clear plan about who you want to serve and how you want to serve them. It's your actual brand compass. It keeps you pointed toward true north in your business. It's that this is who I am and this is what I do. And so here's my pro tip for you today on that one. Create a mission to phrase. What do I mean by that? That means you should be able to say, I'm on a mission to, and then fill in the blank. So for me, that's simple. I'm on a mission to help entrepreneurs or professionals to create a book that they can use as a tool that's going to get influence for them. It's going to help build their influence. So that's who I'm going to help and how I'm going to help them. So if you don't have one, you're going to want to create for yourself a mission to, I'm on a mission to, or we're on a mission to. And then those are wonderful things to post on the wall for your employees and customers alike to see. This is our mission, and here's our mission statement. Okay, now that we've cleared that up, let's talk about setting those savvy goals. Of course, I would be remiss if I didn't take a couple minutes to give you a savvy quote. Here's your savvy quote. Vision versus mission. Vision is what you want the future to look like. Mission is who you serve and how you serve them. Your brand needs both. Of course, you can find me on social media at Clara Rose Chat. All sorts of different social media. Not all of them, but I'm out there. Okay. Before we run out of time, let's get started. First things first, I told you that you needed to evaluate where you are right now. That's your starting point. So, analysis first. If you don't know where you are, how can you navigate to a new destination, right? Here's a pro tip for you. Be honest about where you are right now, or the rest is futile. So sadly, I can't tell you how many times I've had clients in the very early stages of working together. Often we do a strategy session or 2 or 3 to say, okay, where are you at, right? Does that sound familiar? Where are you at? Where are you trying to go? What is this tool that we're going to build, and what are you going to do with this tool? So people will often, in an effort to not necessarily impress me, but to sound like they have it all together, perhaps, will paint one picture when in truth something else entirely is the truth. So I don't know that it's intentional. It's just our natural ego tendency to want to put our best foot forward in new relationships with people. First, start working with another professional. You want to put that best foot forward and want them to think that you have it altogether, I guess. But over time, as the relationship develops and we start working on the book, things will come out. I'm like, oh. And of course, I never call them on it. I just am aware that in the beginning, they weren't as honest as they probably could have been where they really were right now. So evaluation is a really big step in this process. So if I could give you any pearls of wisdom today, it would be to be super honest about where you are. And the rest will make a difference. Okay. So once you've sat down and you've done some evaluation, where am I right now? That's brain stuff, right? That's where am I? Some of that's going to be research, right? Let's look at my analytics. How many people hit my website, and how many, potential customers did I have? What numbers are happening on my social media? How many leads were generated from this particular activity? You want to look at all of the pieces of your business. so that we have a true picture of where we really are. So evaluate honestly and spend a little time on that process. After all, we can't know where we're headed if we don't know where we are. Okay, so that was just step 1. Let us move on to step 2. Okay, so next we're going to cast a vision. So really I'm just saying visualize what you want the coming year to look like. What changes perhaps you want to take place. Do you want more customers? Do you want more potential customers? What is it that you want to happen in your business? So you can create a strategy where you can focus and then create intentional actions. So I like to say this to my customers: create a strategic focus with intentional actions for the goals you want to achieve. Be strategic and intentional about this. And the pro tip, of course, is define how you're going to recognize that you were successful at it. If you don't have a clear vision, if you can't cast a clear vision of the change that you want to see, you won't be able to measure it successfully. But even if you cast a vision, if you don't measure it, you aren't going to know if you successfully met your goals, are you? So in our household, and you've probably, if you're a regular watcher, you know that we do this twice a year. So at the end of the year, the last 2 weeks of the year, neither of us work in our businesses. We take that time for us. Of course, the holidays happen there and there's family time, but we work on our goals, our vision for the new year, the coming year, our 3-year, our 5-year, our 1-year goals. And then we create a vision board. We'll talk about that a little bit in a minute. There's a lot of value in that. We enjoy it, and we enjoy the process of watching those things come to fruition. So, okay. If you have not figured out how to measure your success, that needs to happen in your casting your vision part of your work. So figure out, how am I going to measure this? How am I going to monitor this? And then how will I adjust it in the future? Measure, monitor, and adjust. Super important when you're casting out your vision. Okay, and then finally, of course, let's talk about the capturing of that. Capturing the vision, writing it down. We need goals that have a purpose, right? So each goal should lead you closer to that vision for your brand. They're like stepping stones on a path. So you want to create a path that you can actually follow. And that only is going to happen. You can't follow it if you haven't captured it. So we want you to write it down. And then, of course, my pro tip is to create a visual representation of your goals, or intentions if you'd like to call them intentions. So at our house, the December is our big one. In midsummer, we also take some time to measure, monitor, adjust. So we'll just pull out our vision boards, pull out our paperwork that we created at the previous year's goal setting session, and we just look at, where are we? Measure, monitor, adjust. We said by the end of next year, or by the end of this year, we want it to be at this many customers, or this dollar point, or whatever we decided for the year that we wanted, and then we'll measure. So halfway through the year is a really good time to say, all right, we were going to have 100 new customers, or whatever that number is for you. We're halfway through the year, so we should be halfway to 100, right? If we are not halfway to 100, why? Right? What implementation things are not happening getting us to our goal? Because as beautiful as a vision board can be, or as wonderful as this process can be for the growth of your business or the growth of you personally, if you don't have a way to monitor and measure how you're doing, and you don't stop and have a look at it, it's all been just a waste of time. Futile, I tell you. You have to have something that you can look at. So we pull it out every year. That's why we use the vision board, I think. Both of us are visual people. And so once we've created a written statement of what we want it to look like, what that vision for the new year should look like, then we set about to create a board. It's not a fancy board. It's like the poster board that your kids buy when they're doing a project for school. And we just slap it up on the wall. And then we go about finding pictures that visually represent our goals. So, for instance, one year, it's been a lot of years ago now, but I wanted to write my first book. get my first book published. So I found a picture of a book, and then I overlaid the title onto the picture of the book. I printed it out, cut it out, and it went on my board. When we moved to Florida, we decided that we wanted a house that looked like X. And so we found a picture of a house that looked like X, and we cut it out and we put it on our board. So the fun thing has been over the years to be able to pull out our old boards. We saved them all because, it's fun to look back and to see all of the things that happened from the vision board when we spent the time to plan it out, capture that, visualize it, capture it, visually represent it in some way, put it on the wall where our brain is going to see it even if our eyeballs are not looking at it, and then just go about our work, right? We have, of course, a strategic focus in everything that we do and an intentional actions for each step along the way, because that's what it takes to be successful, right? But that vision board is a piece that lets you say, there it is, that's what I'm going to do. And every time you walk past it, there's some science behind where you should put it. I put mine to the left of my computer screen because I read this article a long time ago that said your brain will, if you're left-handed, which I am, your brain is going to see it more if you put it on the left side. So that's where my stuff goes, to the left of my computer screen, right there. So my brain is seeing it even if my eyeballs are not looking at it. If you're right-handed, maybe stick it on the right side. Or if you're sharing it with your husband or your business partner or whoever, stick it on a wall in the break room, wherever you're going to see it every single day, so that your brain is going to go, oh yeah, I'm supposed to be working on those intentions or those goals right there. Okay, it seems like I may be beating that one a little bit, that I hate the term dead horse, but beating on that dead horse a little too much. But the visual piece of it is super important to the way that our brains work. Now, I don't want you to forget the other two steps. Don't just jump into cutting out pictures and putting them on a board. I think you need to start with the evaluation. Where am I? Right? We talked about we're going to do some savvy goals. Where am I now? And then casting a vision. Where do I want my business to be this next year? By the end of this next year, what would I like to have accomplished? And then, of course, for that, I would just say, dream big, but be realistic, right? If you look at your board and you say, your goals, and you say, I want to be a millionaire by the end of the year, the chances are you probably aren't going to be a millionaire by the end of the year. Maybe be a little bit more realistic about it, but stretch yourself a little bit, right? If you made $100,000 this past year, maybe next year you want to make $125,000 or $150,000 or 200,000, whatever it is, that next step, that next level in your business. Or if you're not doing this for business, you're doing this for your life, that next step in your life, whatever it is that you're working on. Because we're just talking about setting savvy goals. I, of course, made the assumption they would be around business because for us, that's the truth. Okay, evaluate, cast your vision, visualize, and then put it on something that you can see. Don't leave out the piece where you wrote it down. There is science, of course, behind the connection between the writing, and our brain. So when we write things out visually instead of typing them, it makes a connection in our brain differently than when we type. And I've probably said that before on previous shows. So start there. Right? Even if it's as simple as like we do it on sticky notes, because I love that you can move sticky notes around. If it's messy, as I'm that way, I'll throw that sticky note away and write a new sticky note so it's, pretty. I don't know. I might be the only weird one there, but that makes me happy. And then I get them on my board and can arrange them. And then when I take that next step, I'm putting them visually on there based on the sticky note that I put on there. So here's my process. You can follow this or you can create your own. Evaluate, take the time to do it right, sit down and write them out, hand to paper, write them out. Then I actually also put them in my computer because I like that extra security step. It's in my computer, safe forever and ever, hopefully. and then transfer them to sticky notes, transfer them to my board, and then find the pictures that correspond with each of those sticky notes for my goals or my intentions for the new year. Okay, let's talk about what I mean by savvy. What are savvy goals? So let's look at that acronym for just a minute. The S is for strategic. So, of course, I'm going to talk about strategic. Influence Matters is all about being strategic. Strategic just means there's a purpose behind each of the things, each of the goals or intentions on my board. There's a purpose attached to them. So I'm strategic about the things, the goals that I pick and things that I commit to. And then, of course, they need to be actionable. There's your A in savvy. It needs to be something that you can actually make happen. Remember that you can only do something about what you can do something about. So that was a little confusing sounding, wasn't it? But you don't have any control over the actions of other people. You can only control your very own actions. Perhaps with employees, you have a level of control because you can tell them what to do. But truly, the most control that you have is over yourself and your actions. So actionable goals. Values-based is our first V. So what does values-based mean? I'm talking about, remember when we did our vision and our mission statement? Well, we didn't talk about, which I think is super important, is to connect with and understand what your values are as a business owner, or what your values are as a person just in general, right? So your values need to be connected to your goals. So here's an example. I would never be a smarmy, pushy salesperson because it doesn't line up with my own personal values. I could never purposefully manipulate someone because that doesn't line up with my own personal values. So understanding who you are and your values is important when you're setting your goals. Make sure that the goals that you do create or the intentions for yourself, that they are based on your own personal values. Otherwise, it's going to create an inner conflict that you are going to feel. And if you feel them, you're not going to be successful. It's not truly a savvy goal. Okay, let's get back to our savvy goal acronym. So the second V is visionary. And this completely ties into what I was talking about, casting a vision. Right? You need to be visionary about where you're headed and what you want the future of your company to look like. Some people will automatically be said about them, or will automatically feel about themselves that they are visionary. That doesn't come naturally for everyone. So if you feel like, oh, I'm not a visionary, you're thinking about it in the wrong way. Stop and think about your business and what you want it to look like in 5 years or 10 years, somewhere in the future. You are visionary for your company, right? Look to the future and say, here's the amazing things that I want to accomplish in my business in the future. That's what I'm talking about for visionary. Don't be afraid to say, in 10 years, I want to dominate this industry, or I want this big, hairy, audacious goal, this big thing to come to pass and be true. So don't be afraid to be a visionary about the business and the life that you're creating. And then, of course, finally, the Y is you focused. Now, for some people that feels selfish or stingy, or, oh, I don't want the spotlight on me. I don't want it to be, it's not about me, it's about my customer. But truly, your goals need to include you, right? Just like you can't control the actions of other people, your goals have to be about you and not other people. Your goals have to involve you, what you want for the future of your business. If you're not connected with your business in that way, pretty soon you're not going to have that love for what you do. You're not going to find that fulfillment in your business any longer. And I think that's a sad place to be when you've spent years building this business that you have been passionate about, you've been in love with, to one day say, I don't love this anymore, I'm not having fun anymore, and want to sell it or close it or what. And I've been there. Years ago, I've been there, and we have sold businesses. We gave one business away to somebody who worked for us who was passionate about it. And that worked out fine for us. But I'm just saying, be careful as you move forward from year to year. We are driven by the goals that we set, the intentions we have for the growth of our business. So be intentional, be careful that it is a you focused. And that is the why. So there you have it. Those are the savvy goals: strategic, actionable, values-based, visionary, and you-focused goals. Okay, really quick, I have another savvy quote for you. You can hop onto any of the social medias, say hello to me, and be smart and share this with your followers. Evaluate where you are now. Visualize the future of your brand and define the goals that are strategic, actionable, values-based, visionary, and you-focused. You can always find me anywhere at Clara Rose Chat, and I'd love for you to come and say hello to me. Whew, I hope that really helped you today to get clear on how you're going to set goals. It's coming to that time of year. Don't be overwhelmed by the process, but just sit down, evaluate where you are at now, visualize what you want for the future, cast that vision, and then capture that vision in some way. Capture it in writing, capture it in pictures, capture it in whatever way is going to work for you so that you can stay on task for your goals. Okay, as we wrap up, I have one question for you. Are you ready to build influence? If you are, head over to clararose.com and connect with me and learn how. And really quick before we go today, I want to say we're excited. Coming soon, in 2021, Influence University, the new membership site, will finally be ready. This is for the movers and the shakers, the dreamers but doers, the influence builders. We are creating an influence movement, and we're inviting you to be a part of it with us. We're super excited about it. If you would like to be a part of that group or just get notification that we're getting ready to launch, you can hop on over to my website, clararose.com, scroll to the bottom, and fill out the little form. You're going to get on the email list, and we're going to send you a notice when it's time. All right, my friends, that is it for today. I will see you at the next episode of Influence Matters.